Amici del rock and roll, ben ritrovati. Oggi si torna in diretta con il canale ROCKSVILLE, è la zona nella quale noi ospitiamo gli artisti provenienti anche da tutto il mondo. Oggi ho il piacere di conversare con un artista e un songwriter che io ho stimato moltissimo nei primi anni 2000. Sono felicissimo che torni in Italia anche per una serie di solo shows. Sto parlando del poliedrico James Walsh. Welcome, James. How's it going?
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I'm very happy to have this conversation with you because I still remember the very first time I saw Star Sailor live in Italy at Magazzini Generali. Correct me if I'm wrong. Probably 2005, 2006, something like that.
Yeah. We used to play that venue. It's in Milan. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We used to play there quite often, and
It was a very, very important moment for the band itself. Silence is easy, and you know the records, the big attention on the name, but silence was not an option for Star Sailor, wasn't it?
no, yeah, that was particularly back then. That was a very busy time for the band. So yeah, it was, and Italy was always a great place to visit. I remember one of the nicest festivals I played as a solo artist was in Tuscany some years ago. So it's a great place. Sorry, I think my emails keep making a noise.
No problem. I don't hear any noise. But
Okay, cool.
as I said, I'm very happy that the band got back together. So you said you're recovering from the latest show with Star Sailors. How was it?
Really good. We were revisiting our second album, Silence is Easy, which is over 20 years old now, just this year. So yeah, it's been great to revisit some of the songs that may obviously, like Four to the Floor and Silence is Easy. They've kind of stayed in the set, but some of the other album songs have stayed in the cupboard. So it's been good to get them out and see the reaction, and also give people a taste of the brand new album that we've got coming out in March as well. So yeah, it's been a great tour.
Before getting into the solo experience that we're gonna have the chance to live within a few days in Italy, can you tell us something about this upcoming album in March for Star Sailor? Which was the starting point, the decision you made for like getting the band back together and recording brand new music?
But we've been kind of back together, at least playing live, for quite a few years now. The decision was really just when we decided to stop for a little while a few years back. I think we just kind of were exhausted, and we'd achieved a lot of ambitions, and it felt like things were stagnating a little bit, like we weren't getting any further. So we thought, well, we need to have a little rest and come back to it fresh, and come back to it, and get back to the music as well, not worry too much about how successful the music is, which is easy to get carried away with when things were going so well in the early days. You just think, well, we need another number one, or we need another sold out tour, and there's very few bands who that happens for. There's always ups and downs. But then we established ourselves outside of the band, doing other things, and it meant that we could come back to the band with a new sense of purpose. And so yeah, that the new album is just a continuation of that, really. Just we went in the studio with Richard McNamara from Embrace, whose music we all grew up with, and had a great time making this record. A big catalyst for it as well, in very kind of simple terms, is that a label believed in the songs and believed in the album and gave us the money to do it. It's like sometimes people don't want to talk about the practical reality of making records, but it can be quite expensive. So um, when Townsend kind of expressed an interest and believed in the project, then that kind of gave us the belief to continue with it and give it our best.
It's impossible not to consider the genre itself, because when Star Sailor came up first, it wasn't like that huge moment, because he named Embrace, and we all knew the band, we all knew the phenomenal breed pop movement, and y- one side of Star Sailor was connected to the breed pop scene. The other side was probably more into the psychedelic rock.
Mm.
But at the same time, it wasn't an easy moment to come up with a record like that, with a sound like that. I can say that because when I was younger, back in 2007, I started my own punk band, and it was
Mm.
probably the worst moment for that genre in general, because the market was asking for something else. At the same time, the band was able to get, that kind of Star Sailor. I'm talking about that.
Mm.
You spread out the music, you got this popularity, and there was a huge important reaction. Nowadays, 2023, when we heard like the big names talking about that period, I'm thinking about Damon Albarn, for example. Uh, they kind of want to cancel the movement itself. So on one side, you got like Damon Albarn. Well, Britpop doesn't even exist. And at the same time, you got like the members, ex-members of Ocean Color Scene and Republica getting back together, doing this kind of Britpop tour,
Yeah.
tribute tour. So, what's your position? I know it's not important to label a genre or to specify a movement, but what's your position on that? Does breed pop exist or existed?
Um, yeah, I think it definitely existed because it existed for um, the people that went to watch those bands and bought those magazines and kind of uh, were inspired by that scene. I can see where Damon is coming from because he's obviously an unbelievable musician who's achieved um, a lot of kind of ambitions or whatever beyond Britpop. Um, but I think it was it was definitely something that helped carry that whole movement as well. Like having Blur and Pulp and Oasis and Supergrass and all those bands, all part of the same scene and all almost like there's a bit of rivalry, but there's also like this is a movement we can all get behind and we can celebrate. Uh, so I think for me personally, it's good to have like almost like a foot in both camps where as long as you are creating new music and working on new projects and looking forward, um, there's nothing wrong with kind of pleasing the audience who wants to reminisce and wants to kind of go back to the old albums and relive their youth or whatever. I think if that was all I did, if I didn't write any new material or I didn't collaborate with other artists and keep looking forward, then I would be disappointed that I was kind of stuck in the past almost. But because it's just something you kind of dip your toe into every now and again, it feels a lot more natural and you can't forget that the audience is who's put you where you are really. So if there's a demand for them to kind of um yeah have a bit of nostalgia and look back, you've got to. It's a nice thing to give back to them, really.
I agree with you. I agree with you for a lot of different reasons. At the same time, there was not just that in your career. There was a moment when you decide to start writing for yourself as a solo artist. It's been a long process. It didn't start like yesterday. There's a new album right now, and I'm happy you're gonna bring that record to our country as well. What was the starting point for you to decide to start a solo project? Which were the differences between writing with a band, and which was the purpose you were looking for when you started writing different materials?
Just the freedom of writing solo material and the consistency. Like I could write the difference with the solo and the band songs is the band songs take a lot. Obviously, the four of us all have a say and an input in the songs, so I will present the songs to the band, but then they decide kind of what chords they wanted changed, or if the rhythm should change, if it should change key, and they'd obviously add uh, their kind of musicianship to the table as well. Whereas the solo songs is more, I guess, organic, and a lot of the songs just stay as they were originally written, and um, that gives us sort of freedom to keep moving forward. To sort of, well, that song's written, and I'm happy with how it is, so I'll take those rather than keep molding that song into something else. It's like, well, I'll take what I've learned from that and put it into the next thing. Um, so yeah, there's a kind of a. I enjoy doing both, really. I think there's something really special about working with the band and seeing how a song's progressed from a little idea that I had to something really big once the band and the four of us have worked it through. And then there's something really special as well, like the more intimate songs that I do as a solo artist, like Reaching Out and uh, The Greatest Story Never Told, when they get picked up by playlists and things and get heard around the world. It's like, oh, it's amazing that this thing that I've recorded in my bedroom and that came out quite naturally and organically has had this reach. It's really exciting.
Coming Good is the brand new record, and you're gonna bring it to our country from December 13. You're gonna have the first show in Bologna, then we're gonna have Friday 15 in Marostica, Saturday 16. It's gonna be Torino, Turin Full Club, and we're gonna have the last gig on Sunday, December 17, Biko Club in Milan. I always wonder when everybody has his own like favorite songwriter, the one you always reach for, the one you look for as an inspiration, or the one that simply change your perception of music and songwriting. uh Probably my favorite solo songwriter, it's Tom Waits, but I was never able to bring that kind of feeling and that kind of atmosphere or that kind of songwriting into the things that I was caring about. What it's like for you? Do you have your top of the list that you tried to melt into your songwriting, or is just something that stay up there and it stays separated from your own production?
Um, my biggest early influence was definitely Jeff Buckley. Um, and I wouldn't say he had a massive influence on the songwriting, but definitely the delivery and the arrangement of the songs. Um, I just think his voice was incredible and his ability to kind of use the voice as an instrument. Um, but I think the artists who I uh, really try and emulate and really feel that their songwriting is more what's the word, accessible is Bruce Springsteen. I think that's because I'm a massive fan of Bob Dylan, um, but I feel like his style of songwriting and his ability is just otherworldly and completely like just something I couldn't even begin to get near to. And I think obviously this isn't me saying that I'm anywhere near as good as Bruce Springsteen, but I feel like his style of songwriting is quite accessible and quite um almost like you if you could never or most people could never write a song as good as some of Bruce Springsteen's finest songs, but you can write songs that exist in the same world and like I say, are inspired by him. So I think he's someone that I really admire and feel is an inspiration because, like I say, sometimes you write a song and think, well, it's not born to run, but at least it's kind of, um, yeah, in the same world and is striving for that.
How much important was the environment in your life experience and in your artistic experience? We all know Manchester. It's one of the most important cities for music for decades. How do you deal with that? Because sometimes, especially when you travel all around the world, the place you come from, it provides people some kind of ideas on your production, on your music, on your artistic behavior. What it's like for you dealing with the city you come from.
Um, well, I grew up in a town called Chorley, which is about an hour outside Manchester and just over an hour from Liverpool as well. Um, so I think that kind of changed the way that we and obviously we kind of got together in Warrington, which is another town on the outskirts of Manchester, and I think that gave Manchester a kind of mythical quality, and um, I guess our environment was slightly different to the bands like New Order and the Charlatans and Elbow, who were very much more kind of Manchester based bands. The Stone Roses, of course, as well. Um, so yeah, I guess there was a more of a kind of uh, longing to escape our surroundings. These sort of uh, what's the word? Less glamorous towns, whereas Manchester was quite an exciting place to go to as a young person. But the biggest Manchester influence for me was always the Charlatans. I say Manchester, they're kind of not a Northwich band really, but they definitely were part of the Manchester scene, and um, I kind of always admired their staying power despite all the tragedies and the things they had to go through. They just kept going and became stronger. And Tim Burgess, of course, is still going strong, and um, really enjoyed his listening parties he was doing on Twitter, or X as it's called now. So yeah, that's a band I saw live numerous times, and the Verve as well, from who are from Wigan, which was a big inspiration because Wigan, like Chorley, is a less kind of glamorous or known place, and to see a band branch out from there and do what the Verve did was a huge inspiration.
How many beautiful bands, how many names, and I can imagine was definitely inspiring, being surrounded, if not being part of the scene itself. But let me say this in Italian to remind people where to watch you within next days. Mercoledì 13 dicembre Bologna Freakout Club, venerdì 15 dicembre a Marostica alla Sala Polivalente, mentre sabato 16 al Folk Club di Torino e domenica 17 a Milano al Biko. I'm gonna try my best to show up at Milan show because I got a 2 months kid
Oh,
on the other room.
congratulations.
So I'm gonna try to deal with we both of my passions, music and
Yeah.
be a brand new father.
Yeah.
So James, I wanna say thank for this conversation and for your beautiful music all through these years. It's time to see you again performing live. So thank you for your time and thank you for this little tour coming into our
No
beautiful
problem.
country.
Mille
It's been a
grazie.
pleasure, James. Grazie davvero.
Cheers.
See you soon. See you on
See ya.
Sunday. Bye.
Bye.